we got to get an update. What's going on with the zoo, baby? Big crip shit in here. Big crip shit in here.
6 months ago, I investigated CryptoZoo, a scam created by Logan Paul and a team of criminals. Oh, and a dude named Jeff, which ultimately resulted in millions of dollars being stolen from fans.
Yep, and now homeboy's just still been living the exact same life, and we haven't heard nothing about it at all. After he just tried to slam coffee and everything, we still haven't heard nothing back from it.
Was threatened with a lawsuit for exposing it, but ultimately Logan Paul decided to thank me instead for his public undressing and announced a $1.8 million refund to the victims. Now, I thought that was a great ending to the story, but I also said this: I'll follow up in the future to make sure that he actually gives that money away, and that's why we're here today.
Because it didn't get given away.
So here's a follow-up. Logan Paul has not paid back his victims. He hasn't talked about it since he first announced he was going to pay them back. And what's worst of all, he doesn't seem to have a plan in place to refund anyone.
Nope.
How do I know that? Well, because I've been asking Logan for that plan to refund people the entire time behind the scenes in messages like these. Quote, "Hey Logan, following up on the zoo refunds, when should people expect those? It's been about a month." And then a month later, following up again. People are—
Wow, I love it. I love it, because the whole argument that he made in the beginning was, oh man, dude, you don't ever hit me up. How come you chose to go through my management even though I don't respond to messages? Oh my God. Logan fucking Paul.
People are wondering what's going on.
Logan
Almost
fucking
been
Paul,
2 months.
dude.
Very frustrating for victims to get promises and then see nothing and get zero communication. And then later, hey Logan, following up for a third time, it's been over 5 months since you promised to refund the victims
Nor
of
explained
CryptoZoo
it.
over $3 million. I meant to say $1.8 million there. The price of crypto changed a lot, so what this buyback was going to be was constantly changing. I just misspoke there. Either way, my point was this, quote, "You haven't contacted any of them, nor explained why you have..."
I have a feeling he's going to respond to this because there's an error in it. Because there's an error in it, he's going to respond now.
Haven't done what you said you'd do. Meanwhile, you got public credit for promising to...
God damn, he sent this shit at midnight? Holy shit, Coffee. What? I just looked at the time. What is Coffee doing at 11:23 p.m., dude?
Do this. And all of this, Logan didn't respond to, which is odd since he was such a fan of me reaching out to him personally. You know, instead of making things public.
Maybe we could have talked about this if you had reached out to me personally, not my manager, Jeff, who is not me, Steve.
I love that he included this because we knew he was going to come back on this. We knew it. I mean, you saw it. He did the same shit. He tried to act all bold, put together like a 30-minute little script, tried to do like the Andrew Schultz thing where they like pop up clips to turn your phone to the side. It didn't work, bro. It didn't work.
Even.
Well, I did reach out to you and I got no response. In fact, the only response I got came on my 4th attempt to reach Logan, but this one came from his criminal defense lawyers. A guy named Jeffrey Neiman emailed me after my 4th attempt saying, "Steven, see inserted on behalf of Logan Paul." Gotta be up.
Not even his lawyers are competent.
Honest,
what is
I had
happening?
no idea who Logan Paul was
But
until I
what is
researched
happening?
the lawyer and learned that he, quote, regularly defends individuals and corporations in white-collar criminal litigations. And that's when I realized...
Bro, if your lawyer looks like this, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. He got the shadiest guy he could get. What is happening with the world,
individuals and corporations in white-collar criminal litigations. And that's when I realized, oh, that Logan Paul. Why didn't you just say you defended alleged white-collar criminals? This saved me a Google search. So I opened up the letter and it read, "We represent Logan Paul. Mr. Paul has informed us of your outreach about the status of the CryptoZoo buybacks. Mr. Paul remains committed to this process. We are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal. In the meantime, please direct to our attention any further inquiries to Mr. Paul. Thank you for your patience and understanding." Now, that might seem like a good step in the right direction to you. At least we got a response on behalf of Logan. But when I read their response carefully, I realized things were actually worse than I thought.
Because now he's only returning the buybacks, the egg buybacks, not the original investments.
Two things
But go
are
ahead.
absent from this statement. One, a timeline for refunds, and two, a plan for
Oh, okay, I was
refunds.
off.
I mean, you have this abominable statement which says, we are working with Mr. Paul to evaluate the best way to achieve this goal.
You already said how you were gonna do it.
So you're still at the whiteboard then. Guys, this is a statement you say when you have no plan or you're stalling, right? You say, we're evaluating the best options.
AKA,
I mean, that's where
we're just
Logan was
letting this
back
shit-
in January. He was
We're
evaluating.
just
Am I
letting it
supposed to
go.
believe 6 months
We're just
later?
getting past
You
it.
guys haven't figured this out. You've gathered all the boys in the office, brainstorming every single day. How do we refund people? And you don't know? I mean, listen, he had more of a plan, Logan did, back in January. I'm not even
Facts.
sure what there is to even still figure out, because way back then, January 16th, he said, I've committed more than 1.8 million for those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed. Players will be able to burn their base eggs and base animals for their mint price. I mean, there it is. That's the plan. Pay a blockchain dev to code that up and pay the victims their money. That's it. But we see absolutely no sign of that. And it's not for a lack of Logan having the cash. He's on a world tour for Prime right now, bragging about how much money his drink company is making.
No,
In
it is crazy
January of
because he
this year,
actually has
we
been
did
bragging
45
about
million.
it.
Oh, only in January.
Talking about how big
Wow,
it is,
45
everything.
million
It's
is
crazy.
a good month. Also, January happens to be the same month Logan promised those CryptoZoo refunds. So there's no good explanation for why Logan hasn't refunded his victims
there's no
yet,
excuse.
because he had a plan back
But
in
the excuse is that if it would be a lot of bad press for him if he did this he would have to admit everything. He would have to admit to so much guilt, and it would probably screw over his WWE stuff in his prime. So he's probably waiting until those contracts die out, like the immediate contracts, so that he can actually start talking about it now. At least that's what I think.
January. He had the
Fucking
money.
bum.
But there's even less of a good explanation for why he hasn't explained himself for the delay to either me privately or to the victims publicly, who are just waiting around for months with no word about the status of their promised refund. Now, eventually, I do believe Logan will address this. I think he has to. And when he does, I think he'll
I don't think
probably
he will.
point to a lawsuit that he's in for the reason he couldn't speak. He had to be silent. Only he's tried this before, and it didn't make a lot of sense then either.
I had to rely on my team. I crumbled internally, and the advice was while actual legal process was going on because of criminal investigation taking place that CoffeeZilla highlighted in his series, I had to stay silent. And for a year, I'm hounding Jeff. Hounding Jeff. How do we make this right?
All right, let's get this straight.
He's not
Logan
hounding
was
Jeff.
dying to make CryptoZoo right the first time, but was legally required to be silent until a YouTuber talked about it? Did the judge magically unseal his lips when my video dropped? I'm confused. He's not prevented from explaining himself, and he's certainly not legally prevented from giving people their...
That's what's like the funniest part about it, bro. That's what's like literally the funniest part about it. Because he came out immediately after CoffeeZilla's thing came out and everybody started bashing him. He's like, oh, here's the answers to all of this stuff that you guys have been asking that I supposedly haven't been able to talk about. The dude's just a scumbag. It is what it is. He hasn't changed at all. He's still the same person he was. And all of his friends are covering for him because of the fact that they're getting rich off of him. Look at Mike. That's the only reason why Mike is still around. The only reason why Mike is still around, Logan Paul, is because Mike is extremely going crazy off of being friends with Logan Paul. That's it. There's no other reason why Mike is still hanging around, especially for how you can't even say that Mike is like a legitimately like good person either, just because of how shitty Logan did. How shitty Logan did. What the fuck is homie's name? What the hell is that? George. And Mike just stood there and allowed that shit to happen. That shit's crazy. And hey, he's right back there supporting his boy because he's the fall guy. That's Mike. Mike's the crash dummy.
their money back. Even if you want to argue the point that maybe Logan might look more guilty if he promises to pay victims, well, sure, but he already did that though. He said he felt so bad that he was going to refund $1.8 million to the affected people who invested. But actually delivering that promise doesn't add any layer of admission to that guilt. He already said he was responsible. At this point, Refunding people is just doing what he said he was going to do from the beginning.
Literally.
No, I think the real reason Logan hasn't paid, if I had to guess, is just because either he does not want to pay,
He doesn't want
cannot
to.
be bothered to pay on time, or he's just stalling. All of which are unacceptable. Because
He
let me
doesn't
remind you
want
of
to
his
pay,
promise.
because if he did, he would have
Quote,
helped
I
people.
have committed more than $1.8 million for those who do not want to wait for CryptoZoo to be completed. That is what he said, and the people are tired of waiting, including...
And what's crazy is all he had to do was fix some stuff on the back end to like make the website actually work. And it's been 6 months and they haven't even got an update on the website. So he's literally just... he literally just doesn't care,
After
bro.
months of trying to work behind the scenes and ask questions behind the scenes privately to him, I'm just out of ideas. And I'm stuck trying to speak to Logan in the only language I believe he understands.
Social media.
Self-interest. Logan, if I could speak to you for a second. Okay, bring in the camera. This isn't worth your time. Getting publicly flogged like this every 6 months? What are we gonna be doing this in a year? No. Okay? It's not worth your time. It's barely worth my time. Just please pay the people back.
Yeah, and then he should talk about his brother who said he wasn't a YouTuber, said he didn't need it, he was too big for big business. He was like, everybody that still uses YouTube is a bum, blah, 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 blah. And he's right back to posting vlogs on YouTube. It's great. I love it. And Logan's doing the same thing for Prime because he knows that's the only way that it's going to keep on thriving the way it's been thriving. It's just funny, bro. It's funny how like people switch up and then they get caught in their lies.
What you owe, give them a real timeline, a real plan, and then we can all
Bro,
go back to
I
pretending
used to respect these
changed.
dudes so much, bro. I used to think they were so fucking badass for the shit they were doing and like how dope they were for like kind of like taking over the world. Like I remember back when David Dobrik was making like hella money off of his merch and he was also like talking hella shit about Jake Paul at the time. And I just remember it was so funny because the merch place or website that David Dobrik used was owned by Jake Paul. So all of the merch that David Dobrik ever sold, a portion of that money went to Jake Paul. So Jake Paul had his hand in every upcoming YouTuber's pockets for merch design, merch sales, blah, blah, blah. Like anybody who copped from that website, that was all on that. Like all of the big YouTubers were on it. So everybody was, what was it called? Like fandom or whatever? Everybody was buying from that place. And they were all giving money to Jake. And it's hilarious.